Bonsoir.
Oui, dis-nous bonsoir encore. Dis-nous bonsoir toi, Kelly. D'accord, merci. Et Fritz a bien pour l'introduire de speaker pour nous. Même je voulais profiter de Jodia pour me dire Fritz, merci. Parce que nous sentons, tout speaker qui a fait là, c'est Fritz qui a fait des marches de tous côtés pour le chercher pour nous. Et nous sentons qu'on travaille sérieux qu'a fait speaker la mené par nous. Donc Fritz, dans nos communautés, merci pour le travail ça. Et vraiment de vous introduire.
Bonsoir. Moi, j'ai un nouveau jeu là, je dis pour les gens qui viennent ici la première fois, c'est une émission que nous faisons chaque troisième dimanche du mois, que nous les nous les émissions ça éducation communautaire. So devoir nous dans la communauté, c'est essayer de rapprocher, créer une plateforme pour nous essayer jeunes, tout haïtien qui ont certaines de notions, qui ont certaines de éducation, qui ont certaines de sujets pour nous traiter pour nous de façon pour nous-mêmes, pour nous avoir un but de situation que nous avons dans la communauté que nous vivons. Je dis à nous, comme nous connaissons l'immigration, c'est un sujet qui est très chaud, c'est juste. So, nous avons pris une initiative pour nous inviter le législateur Solages pour nous venir dans une notion, pour nous dire exactement dans le bon moment, ce qui a passé, qui Jean a passé dans le gouvernement ici et qui a affecté la communauté. Sans qu'on introduit Carrie Solages avec le grand frère Philippe Solages, capable de débuter en parler de sujet ça pour nous.
Bonsoir. Nom c'est Carrie Solages. I am a county legislator here in Nassau County. I am very happy to serve as the first Haitian American legislator in Nassau County. Give yourself a round of applause. That is an accomplishment that belongs to all of us. All of us are God-fearing, loving people who just want a better life for ourselves and our children. And as a county legislator, I'm committed to helping all communities, and especially my community. I would like to thank Fritz. I'd like to thank Pastor Fabien for having us here today. And I would also like to say happy birthday to the pastor. It was your birthday? Okay, it was your birthday last week. I'd also like to wish you a happy St. Joseph holiday. St. Joseph is a patron saint that's very important to me, who not only cares for workers, the homeless, children, and the father of the family. I wish you blessings upon you on this day. I would also like to thank. Okay, sure. Thank you. I would also like to thank my brother Phil Solages, who's an attorney, as myself, who will be conducting today an immigration workshop. What I want to do today is to give you an overview of what's happening in this country when it comes to immigration law, and if you have a loved one that needs help, how to get that help, where to get that help. Just yesterday we had a very effective panel discussion and immigration clinic where people for free got help, and we will be doing that again in the future. And I'm very glad that your church reached out to me so that we can work together. C'est important que nous étions ensemble, Kounia. Just like the pastor said upstairs, on nous voit les yeux nous sous pichi nous, ça c'est important, mais on nous voit les yeux nous sous la vie nous ensemble. Vous comprenez? Parce que droit immigration, c'est mettre papier ou dans ordre, ou ranger papier ou. Vous comprenez? C'est ça que nous devons focus. Mais excuse que je ne vais pas écrire ensemble, mais je vais essayer. Ok, mais vous comprenez? Vous comprenez, c'est bien. Okay, so I'm going to give you an overview of some important topics in immigration law, but also tell you some information that you need to know. Si vous get TPS, si vous get green card, and what is the difference? You see, immigration law, under the law, each classification has different rights. If you're a citizen, you have the most rights. If you have a green card, you have less rights than a citizen, but you do have certain rights. And then if you have TPS or some other permission to be in this country, you do have rights as well. but you are limited in those rights. There are certain things that can happen to you, but may not happen to you if you have a green card or if you're a citizen. For example, if you have TPS or a green card, you need permission to leave the country to visit your family in Haiti or elsewhere. It's called advanced parole. If, for example, you have a green card or you have TPS, and unfortunately you're accused of a crime, there are certain consequences that may prohibit you from becoming a citizen, and we will talk about that as well. Things that you may not think of as crimes, such as driving with a suspended license or DWI, that could really jeopardize your status and jeopardize your status of being here, and unfortunately may lead you to be deported. We're going to have the translator come step in at some times when we say some things that are very complicated, but please, this is for you. Today it is for you. If you have questions, we're here to answer those questions. I'd like to inform and to empower my community. We must put our heads together. I'm very thankful that it was Hendrik's mother that also helped to initiate this here today. That means a lot because her family and my family have worked a lot together, and that's an example of Haitian families working together in Nassau County. So thank you, Mrs. Fayette, thank you. So I would like to first begin with what's happening, okay? A lot of people are saying that Trump is doing all these things and that people are living in fear, but I think that it happened before Trump. You see, under President Obama, between the years of 2009 and 2014, 2.4 million people were deported. And the majority of them, over 60%, were for traffic offenses or minor crimes. So I want you to understand this hasn't been happening before Obama, okay? Just the media is giving Trump a hard time because he's more out front, you understand? But I want you to understand that this has been happening a long time before Trump, and we have to organize our papers. If you have a green card, find a way that you could become a citizen. If you have a TPS, find a way that you could become a citizen. There are ways, believe it or not. It's very important that you move on to become a citizen. Yes, you're proud of being Haitian. You could also be a proud Haitian, but also be an American citizen. You understand? I mean, many people from our community that have a green card for over 5 years understand under the law that if you have a green card for more than 5 years, you could become a citizen. All you have to do is go to the uscis.gov website and download a form called N600. The application fee is about $1,000 and $1,100, a bit expensive, but it's worth it. And they process the application very quickly. If you have no outstanding issues, if you've paid your taxes, if you have not had any criminal record, if you can show employment, you have a green light to become a citizen. And you understand that there are certain benefits of being a citizen. And especially now, where the executive office of our federal government is expanding its powers to try to deport individuals or at least have people start the pathway to become a citizen, it is in your interests to please organize your papers or to speak to an attorney. I mean, there are many resources here in Nassau County. For example, yesterday at our workshop, we had the Legal Aid Society, and we also had members of the Nassau County Bar Association. There are, it's important to get involved with your church and to get information as to when the next immigration workshop is. We had a lot of people at yesterday's workshop, but we could have had more. So it's important that you work, of course, with people you trust, but then also get the information that you seek that could help improve your life. That is very important, okay? Please, I don't want people to live in fear. I want you to know that my sister is an assemblywoman, Solages, and she and I have been working with our county police. Our county police commissioner has said publicly that he is not going to help Donald Trump enforce some of these immigration laws. So all the rumors, you heard about, there's raids and that's not true. That has not happened in Nassau County. And if a police officer asks you for your immigration status, please let me know. I have my card here. My office number is 516-571-6203. 616-771-6203. if that happens, or if you hear of that, of a police officer asking someone for their immigration status, please let us know. Because the police commissioner has made some very clear orders, and he doesn't want people to live in fear. He wants to work with our community. You know, there's no way to really attack crime if people are living in fear, if they're living in a subculture. We are a country of laws, and certain things cannot be done. Even President Trump, what he did for the travel ban was blocked by a judge. So I want you to understand that we are a nation of laws, and no one can just, you know, be above the law, okay? And that we have a community of people who care for each other, like our church, like our court system, like our schools. Uniondale is a great community. I know that Dawsonville, he works at the local school. He's a friend, and you know, we have a lot of leaders here who really care that we thrive and succeed in this great country. The same way I had an opportunity to go to law school and to become a lawyer and then an elected official, the same way you have an opportunity for your children to do the same as well. And we have to learn to use the laws to our advantage, not our disadvantage. Which is why it's very important that we're here today on this beautiful Sunday talking about immigration law. The fact that you showed up shows that you care. And even if it does not apply to you, it may apply to someone that you care for. All the time in my office, my legislative office, I get phone calls from someone saying, oh, me gen cousin, la PC vini, me li gen problem avec la douane. That's okay. Please, if there are issues with, you know, the visa office or the embassy, just know that your congressperson is supposed to help you with that. So if you call my office, I will reach out to the congressperson and make sure that they help you. Okay? That is why that you have us here. We're here to speak for you. And you should learn to use that to your advantage. All other successful immigrant groups, from Italians to Irish, they have done the same. They have first gotten into the law, then into politics, and that's what we must do as well in order for us to thrive as a culture here. Yes, it's great that we have a Haitian legislator, but let's reach for more. Let's have more Haitian businesses. Let's have more, you know, schools for our children, our culture. But we must do so by doing what we're doing here today. And so later in this program, we will have a question and answer portion of this, so you could ask questions. If there are specific questions, we may want a one-on-one consultation. But we're going to answer questions here today about green card, about TPS, about how to become a citizen. This is a very good workshop. I would like to bring forward my brother, Phil Solages, who's an attorney, and he's also going to now give you some more important information. Thank you. Do you want to translate anything I said before or not? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's give Carrie a round of applause. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you. Before I begin, I want to thank the pastor for inviting us here today. Thank you so much. Let's give him a round of applause. This is such a beautiful church. I've heard so many great things about this church, the community work that it does. I believe that there's medical missions that happen outside of this church. I know this past summer there was a clothing drive where everyone met here at the church and they brought clothing for people in need, so that's very wonderful. I also want to thank Fritz Honoré for reaching out to us as well. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. And again, I want to thank the Fayette family for reaching out and making this happen today. Okay? Before I begin, there's a saying. Every morning I wake up and I say this: La union fait la force. All right, let's say it. La union fait la force. For those that you know, strength through unity. That's so important. That's the motto of the country of Haiti. That's the motto. If you look at that in the flag for Kings County, Brooklyn, that saying is in there as well. It's very important. La union fait la force. And that's so important to remember. I say it every day. I am a lawyer. I practice in the metropolitan New York area, and I have an emphasis on criminal law. I defend people that are charged with crimes, and that's important because we're going to get into that as far as how that has implications and consequences with immigration. I also practice personal injury law as well. I help people in car accidents, moun ki tombe, ki blessé, you know, people that fall, and that's important too. And I also practice in the area of immigration law. And in the area of immigration law, I actually went to the highest court in New York State, the Court of Appeals. I went to the Court of Appeals back in 2015 to argue an immigration case. So immigration is something that's near and dear to me. My parents are both immigrants. They both immigrated from this wonderful island, Haiti, obviously. And so I'm very cognizant and aware of immigrants' rights. And as my brother indicated, there's been a lot in the media recently about ICE raids. ICE stands for Immigration Custom Enforcement, and it's a branch of the Department of Homeland Security. Before 9/11, there used to be INS. Does anyone here remember INS? Yes. Remember INS? Well, INS now merged with Department of Homeland Security, and there's a branch called ICE. And what ICE, in essence, does, it enforces the immigration laws. And what you're hearing about in the news about these raids happening and things of that nature, that's really happening to two classes of individuals. Those two classes of individuals are anyone who has a prior order of removal or deportation. Okay? Does everyone understand? Is there anyone that doesn't understand me? Because what I'm saying right now is very important, and I'll get the translator to translate it. Does everyone understand? Okay. No? Good. Okay. So there are two classes of people that have to be worried about ICE. First, if someone went before an immigration judge and they came into this country and an immigration judge says, I order you to be removed or you have to be deported, that person, if they then were allowed to stay in the country, they are potentially subject to being picked up by ICE. Okay? So that's the first class of person. The second class of person who has to be worried is someone who's a non-citizen. That means that they're not a citizen. A citizen is either someone who was born here or who was naturalized here. And as my brother indicated, it's so important. As Haitians, we have a lot of fear. We have a lot of honor for our country. But it's important to become a citizen for many reasons. A, it gives you a voice because only citizens can vote. Remember that. You only have a voice in this country if you're able to vote. And if you're not able to vote, then you can't affect change. You can't elect someone like Harry Solages. You can't elect another Haitian into office unless you have the power to vote. So it's so important to become a citizen because once you're a citizen, then you don't have to worry about ICE anymore. You can never be deported. No matter what you do, you could commit the most heinous act and you could never be deported. And it's so hard to lose your citizenship. It's so nearly impossible. There's only one way. It's called treason, committing an act against the United States of America. Notwithstanding that, you can't lose it. So it's important. So getting back to what I was saying, the second class of person that has to be worried about ICE is a non-citizen, so someone with a green card, someone with TPS, someone with work authorization, a visa, who gets convicted of a criminal offense, an aggravated felony, or a crime of moral turpitude. So that's very important. Basically, this is very important. I'm going to say this and I would like Fritz to come in. The individuals that need to be worried about ICE are non-citizens, people that have green cards, people that are on TPS, visas, who are here in the US and who get convicted of a crime. Convicted of a crime. That means that they went to court and there was a final resolution by a judge or a jury and they were convicted of a crime, usually a crime of moral turpitude or a felony. Thank you, Fritz. Those two classes of people are people that are subject to the jurisdiction of ICE and that are subject to getting arrested. Those are the individuals who, if they're at home, they get the knock on the door. Now, if you don't fall into those categories, meaning if you've never had a judge ordered you removed, if you've never been in trouble with the law, then you don't have to worry about anything. You don't have to worry about ICE. So keep that in mind. It's because you hear a lot, and a lot of people in our community are worried. They're like, wait, is someone going to come to my house at night and take me away from my family? No. Only if you fall into one of those two categories or both of those categories. Because unfortunately, there are some people that were ordered removed that stay in this country and that continue to commit crimes. And the theory behind that is ICE means, you know, you're here, when you're here and you're not a citizen, you're a visitor. And you're supposed to abide by the rules. Just like if you go to someone's house and you show up at their house, are you going to walk around with your shoes dirty inside their house? Yes. Okay, same type of theory, because when you're not a citizen, this country, technically you're here, but you don't have those rights that citizens do. And that's why if you commit crimes, you can be subject to deportation. So I'm going to give you an overview of things that you need to know, because everyone here, I'm sure we all go to church here, and the pastor's here, so everyone does the right thing. There's no one doing anything wrong here, right? Okay. But you may know someone who is a non-citizen, who maybe committed a crime, and now there's problems. So the first point that I'm going to talk about is, if you know someone who's been arrested and they're a non-citizen and they've been arrested, you must go and try to bail them out immediately, because the ICE operates in two ways. Either ICE can show up to your house, or pretty much in Nassau and Suffolk County, there are ICE officials that are at the jail. And they interview all new arrestees. So, meaning, if someone gets arrested and they're a non-citizen, and they go in front of a judge in court, and the judge sets a bail, if the bail is not posted, that person will then be brought to the local jail. Here in Nassau County, the local jail is in East Meadow. Once that person is at the local jail, then they will be interviewed by ICE officials. And once ICE determines that the person is not a citizen or is undocumented, okay? They have to be undocumented, meaning they don't have any papers, they have no legal status. Then ICE will place a hold on that person. And what that means is that even if the family comes up with the bail after the fact and they go to the jail, they will not release the person from the jail. Once the person's case is done, that person will then be transported. Once that person's criminal case is finished, that person will then be transported to an immigration court. So this is important. I'm going to emphasize something, and I'm going to have to... 48 hours. Okay, yes. And that once that person's case is done, that person within 48 hours will be transported to an immigration court. So, what I want to say is, I'm going to have Fritz translate this. If someone is arrested, and the person is undocumented, it is important to try to bail the person out before they go to the local jail. Exactly. So once the person sees the judge and the judge sets the bail, you should try to bail that person out immediately before they go to the jail.
Okay, when you set bail, you're supposed to retain Munsa très rapide avant que l'aller dans le jail.
C'est pour payer.
Exactly. Because if the person is undocumented and they bring them back to the jail, ICE will interview them and put a hold on them.
Si moun sa nan prison et que ICE a pas interviewé et puis y a prend moun sa, y a mené dans prison.
Si nous pas qu'à faire ça.
Where? Okay, next. The next thing that I want to talk about is a big problem that occurs in our community is immigration fraud. A lot of people want to take advantage of non-citizens because they feel that they don't understand the language, they're not familiar with the laws here. And common things that I want you to be aware of are non-lawyers giving legal advice. If someone goes to a non-lawyer and they obtain legal advice, the legal advice may not always be good. It's better to go to an attorney to obtain legal advice. And you can and make sure the person is a lawyer. Now with the internet, you can always research. There's an attorney registry through the state of New York where you can put the person's name in and ascertain if they're a lawyer. And so it's always better to get legal advice from a licensed attorney. Now, I want to add, it's not all non-lawyers are bad, because there are some non-lawyer services, like Catholic Charities, for example, that gives immigration services, but you have to be very careful. Next, and as part of that, in some countries, a notary also means that the person is a lawyer. Here in the United States, that's not the case. Here in the United States, someone could be a notary, but just because they're a notary doesn't mean they're a lawyer. So be careful of that. It's two different things. But in some countries, notaries automatically means lawyer. Notaries, c'est pas avocat. Vous comprenez? Notary, c'est pas avocat. Des États-Unis. Next. Be careful of people that promise you something. If you go to anyone, in this world there's no promises. If you go to anybody's office and they promise you something or guarantee you a green card or guarantee you, always be careful. Anyone that makes promises or like there are immigration services out there that fill out paperwork and they promise to speed up the paperwork. Be very cautious of those services. Here in Nassau County, the district attorney's office has a fraud bureau where if someone feels that they've been defrauded, they can go to Mineola and submit a formal complaint so that the district attorney's office can investigate. Next, this is something that you need to be careful of. Be careful of people selling false documents. People selling false green cards or false TPS or false visas is never a good thing. If you obtain a document, it has to come directly from immigration. Do you understand? If you get a document and it's from someone on the street, it's never legal. And what's even worse is if you get caught by the police with a fake green card, that's a felony. That's possession of a forged instrument. And if you're convicted of that, that can be subject you to deportation. So you could actually do more worse to yourself and more harm by possessing a fake document. Exactly. Excuse me? My phone number?
No.
Sure. It's 516-286-3363, but I have business cards here in the front, so that has my number, and at the end, anyone can have one. Next.
Also, I would just like to mention that many of the local universities, like Hofstra University and York College, have a great immigration clinic that I personally send people to who cannot afford an attorney. And those places, York College, Hofstra University, if you call my office, I can give you their phone number. Those places also provide free immigration help, and they have translators as well.
Thank you. That's very good advice. And Legislator Solages, my brother, was very instrumental in helping Hofstra University. So take advantage of those.